Hey everybody, this is Arielle from MMS, and we're going to talk about writing chord progressions. So maybe you've been learning how to play an instrument, and you are learning how to play major and minor scales and some major and minor chords, but how do we use all of that to write a cool song? Today we're going to talk about writing in a major and minor key. We're going to talk about how we choose chords for a major and minor key, and then we're going to talk about some tips and tricks on how to shake things up and make your chord progressions a little more interesting. So the first thing we need to know is how to write in a key. So a key is just a group of notes that sound good together, right? Every song follows a type of key. We're going to look at major keys and minor keys today. On the screen, you'll see a couple of scales. So these scales show you what notes belong in the C major key and the C minor key. Your major keys are going to sound a little more happy and bright like this. This is C major. From to write a song. If the song is in C minor, it's going to sound a little bit more sad like this. So once we've established what key we're going to use, we can choose the chords that belong in that key. So here you're going to see some Roman numerals that represent different chords on the screen. We write in Roman numerals to differentiate from the numbers of the notes in the scale. So what I mean by that is if you're looking at singular notes in a scale, C, D, E, F, G, for example, then we would write the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But if we're looking at chords in a key, we'd write those numbers in Roman numerals so that you can tell we're talking about chords. So let's look at the major key first. So the first chord is always going to be major. The second chord will always be minor, hence the little M. The third is going to be minor. The fourth will be major. The fifth will be major. And then the sixth will be minor, and the seventh is diminished. So if I took that C major scale that we looked at before and we plugged in each note into this chord formula here, these are the chords that we get for the key of C major. So let me play you what that sounds like. So we've got C major, D minor, E minor, F major, G major, A minor, and B diminished. And then we're back at C again. So the same thing goes for if you're writing in a minor key, except the chords are going to be different this time. If the key is minor, your first chord will be minor, your second chord will be diminished, your third chord will be major, your fourth will be minor, your fifth chord will be minor, your sixth chord will be major, and your seventh chord will be major. So the chords that I chose and plugged in for C minor sound like this. C minor, D diminished, E flat major, F minor, G minor, A flat, and B flat. And that brings us back to C minor again. So these are your basic chords that will always work in these types of keys. So you can apply this to any other scale that you're learning, major or minor, and you just plug in the notes of the scale into this chord formula. Now, what if we've done this a whole bunch and we get sick of it and we'd like to switch things up and make our chords a little bit different than just plain old majors and minors? There's a couple things we can do. The first thing is seventh chords. So there are a few types of seventh chords: major seventh, minor seventh, and dominant seventh. The major seventh is basically just taking a major chord, like C, for example, and then adding the seventh note of that scale onto the end of it. So if C, E, and G are my first, third, and fifth, like a regular triad chord, my seventh note in the C scale is B, and it sounds a little bit more dreamy. If you have a minor chord, you can also do a minor seventh, so that 1 flat 3 5 on the bottom. For example, in C minor, it'd be C, E flat, and G. And then my seventh note of the minor scale is B flat. So we play C, E flat, G, B flat. For a dominant seventh chord, these are really fun too. You would take your major chord, C, E, G again, and put a flat 7 on the end. Another thing you can do to any of the chords in your key is create suspended chords. There's suspended second, where we take the middle note or the third note of the scale and you move it to the second note of the scale. And then there's suspended fourth, where we can take the third note and bring it up to the fourth note of the scale. And then there's also sixth chords, where we take a normal first and third note, and then the fifth note changes to the sixth note of the scale. Other things we can do is make augmented chords. If you're taking C major and you play C augmented, we would move the fifth up by a half step. If we did an augmented minor, it would be the same thing, but with the flat third. Another fun thing I like to do with my chords is switching up the bass note. So what that means is you can play your regular old chord on top, so we'll take C chord again, and then we change out the left-hand note for something outside of that chord, like maybe an F. Or you can do it down an octave lower for a bigger sound. And another cool thing that we can do with our chord progression is borrow chords from other keys. So maybe you're done sticking to your 1 major, 2 minor, 3 minor, on and on and on, and you want to try using something that doesn't belong in the key. Here's some examples of that. So a first one will be the major key, and I put an example chord progression up there. Normally, we would play a 1 major, 4 major, maybe 5 major, back to 1. I decided to use 1 major, 4 major, 4 minor, back to 1. So in other words, if we're in the key of C, C, F, F minor, and C. Another example of this would be using a flat third major. So we've got a C major, D minor, and then an E flat, and then back to the C. Examples of this in a minor key, we've got the first one here was 1 minor like normal, and then we go to a 2 major instead of diminished, and then a G minor here, which would be our 5 minor like normal, and then back to our 1 minor like normal. Last example for this would be our 5 minor, so we're not starting on the 1 here. Another cool trick that you can try to work into your chord practice is making up progressions that don't start on the 1. So this one's going to start on the 5 minor, G minor, and then it's going down to 3 minor, the E minor, which does not belong in a minor key, and then the 4 major, and then the 1 minor. So those are some great examples of ways that you can work both in the key and follow the rules of writing in a key, or breaking those rules a little bit in ways that work for you. So I wrote a little chord progression here that we can listen to together and kind of look at all these different tricks put together in one song. Start with C major, that's the 1 major, and then we're going to go to the 4 major 7, then we're going to go to the 3 minor 7, E minor 7, then we're going to go to the 6 major, borrowing outside of the key, then we're going to go to 5 major like normal, then we're going to go to 5 major with a 6th note in the bass, so G over E, then we're going to go to the 4 major, just plain old F. Then for the second half, we'll go back to the 1 major, C major. Now we'll go to a G6, the 5 with a 6. And then another chord from outside the key, a G sharp major, leading to an A minor, which is in the key, then down to an E minor, which is 3 minor in the key, then a 4 major with a 6, so 4, 6, then a 2 major dominant 7, this one's fun, and that'll bring us back to a C major, 1 major. Alright guys, that's my video for today. Thanks for watching. I hope you feel inspired to write some chord progressions on your instrument. And also subscribe to our channel if you haven't, so you can see all the other cool videos from Modern Music Studio. Thanks, and see you next time.